You must take your place on the shelf next to all the other live-action Disney remakes. Sides of Coins starts right now. Lion King, baby! Woo! It was a good one. We're going to talk about The Lion King and break it down and say what we thought and what we enjoyed or didn't. And joining us today is Abby in studio.
Hi.
And we've got Angela producing us today. Yay. Gang's all here. All right, let's get into this. So this is the third live-action remake that's come out this year. We had Dumbo, Aladdin, and now The Lion King. And so we'll go around the table. I know there's a bit of debate about whether or not it actually constitutes live action because every animal in it is animated. And so is it a photorealistic animation or is it a live action? We'll just call it live action because that's obviously what they're intending it to be, right? Sort of like the Jungle Book.
It's the closest technology has come so far to make it nearly live action.
Yeah, between this and Toy Story 4 with the cat in there, I mean, it's a great time to be alive as far as like photorealistic animals and animations and things like that. But so let's go around the table here and just see what everybody generally thought, and then I'll say what I thought. Go ahead.
I liked it. I was expecting to be disappointed, but I actually really liked it.
Damn. Went in with those low
expectations.
I
went in with low expectations, and I thoroughly enjoyed the movie.
So what were you expecting to happen that didn't happen, and what did you like about what happened? What were your fears going in?
Just not to, because, everyone kind of wants to be trendy right now and throw in a little joke here and there that the kids these days could relate to. And I'm sorry, to be insensitive to your child that you wanted to take on a lunch date, but fuck your kids. This is for us. This was my movie from my childhood. This was for the 80s and 90s babies. This was for us. So I wanted it to be as close to the original as possible. And I think they really played the middle ground and did really good at bringing both of those elements in. They threw in the little, the jokes and modernized it a little bit, but still stayed very true to the original. So I really enjoyed that.
That's interesting. And now I can't remember, so I don't want to put you on the spot, but did you see Aladdin earlier this year?
I didn't.
Oh, okay. So that would have been interesting to talk about too, because it really walked the line in, I think, a really interesting way. It did a lot more as far as changing the story goes. But I think they did a good job with that, and the execution was really good. I have mixed feelings about this movie. I really enjoyed watching it, but also it sort of reminds me of, so my favorite band of all time is the Scorpions, right? And so a couple years back, they released a re-recorded album of all their classics, and they used modern technology. They did it all really, really, really well. And at the end of it, I'm left thinking, that was awesome. It really slapped my sound system and everything. But at the end of it, I just went back to the originals. And I kind of wonder if that's not what's going to happen here. You get a new take on the story, sort of like seeing it on Broadway or something like that. But it's a bit of a novelty thing. I don't know what it actually added to justify its existence, other than obviously the stunning visuals and all this sort of stuff.
We kind of talked about this a little bit earlier, but for me, I think what it brought to it, because seeing something in live action, it just made it a little more realistic. So, me being a person that saw it when I was younger, the original when I was younger, I was like, okay, it's a cartoon. This is supposed to entertain me. It's colorful. It's, vibrant. But, with my daughter, she's looking at the movie and it's real to her.
Right.
She doesn't understand, or well, she knows, animals don't talk.
Right, sure.
But it was real to her, so I think she got the message of the movie more than because she's seen the original Lion King, and she just wasn't impressed. Okay, it's mommy put on a cartoon.
Right.
This is cool.
That's interesting.
But seeing the actual live action movie, she was just. And one of the most tragic things is what stuck with her the most is when Mufasa died. That hit her emotionally. She spoke about that. So seeing it in a live action, I think, just made it a little more realistic. And even again for me, as an adult seeing it, I took more away. I felt it was more emotional seeing it in this light.
That's, yeah. So definitely piggybacking off that, I think it's awesome to have the opportunity to show this classic story to different people and get different people's reactions to it. I never watched it as a kid, so I don't have the nostalgia factor. I think I watched the original once and I thought, wow, this is obviously very good. I enjoyed it. It's one of my favorite of the animated Disney movies that I watched, but I was sort of in a similar boat where I wasn't really overwhelmed and I kind of forgot some of it. And so watching it live action, I thoroughly enjoyed the film. I'm interested to see, I know the critics are panning it because it brought nothing new to the table, but I can also imagine a world where they bring something new to the table and audiences walk out because
and they get mad because it wasn't exactly scene for scene.
Exactly. So in the theater we were at, there was a couple next to us who were they were literally, talking along with the movie. Like the lines were basically the same, and so they were quoting what was coming next and singing along to the songs and everything. And when something did change,
which was super annoying.
Oh yeah, that was definitely annoying.
When people sing along or talk through movies.
I'm sorry, I am that.
Oh no, Abby, no.
It's like, you know what? I would love to listen to Beyonce and Donald Glover sing this, but you know what?
You know what everyone
person
will
next
probably
to me,
like better is me singing.
Hell yeah, dude. I want you to sing it. Release the guy next to me version. But anyway, so what I was saying was I can imagine anytime like Pumbaa would say a different line than in the original, they'd be like, oh, that was whack. That's not what he says. That's not what he's... And I was just like, wow, you guys really know what you want out of this, don't you? So, yeah, it's interesting. But we didn't get all the way around the table. Angela, what's your thoughts and reaction to this whole shebang?
So, general thoughts. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. To sort of look at it from the other side of what you were saying, Abby. I am such a classic Disney animation fan personally. Like that's my whole vibe. I love it. I have gotten just as much out of... I was talking to Ed about this right after we walked out of the theater. Like I got just as much out of like the early Disney animation, Snow White in like the 30s and like, like Sleeping Beauty and all those like really like older movies. As much out of those as I did, like the most recent animation. Like obviously like it's progressed, but story-wise, there's something to be appreciated about everything. And as a kid, I don't think I lost anything from the animation versus now we can do like live action. We can do like, like Pixar, like they're really advanced animation. I appreciate it. I see how far we've come and I love it, but I still think story wise, it didn't bother me seeing those classic stories in like the original animation versus the live action. I think there's something good about both of those, but I definitely appreciated those for what they were, and I don't look back on them now and be like, well, they weren't that good comparatively. Like, I like them both so much. So that's just my general kind of takeaway is, like, there was something to be said for those in their time, and I think there's something to be said for the live action. It makes it very realistic. I can appreciate it a lot in terms of, like wow, this is actually what it would look like, and it's so cool to see that brought to life. That's awesome.
So let's talk a little bit about the movie itself and the pluses and minuses of it. Obviously, it followed the story almost to a letter, and it did. No, it was good. I liked every performance really in this. We'll go through some of the characters. I mean, Mufasa it was really, really cool to see live action. Yeah. I must confess that I kept waiting for Liam Neeson's voice to come out because I watched a lot of Chronicles of Narnia as a kid, and so I just kept imagining, like, every time it was James Earl Jones, I was like, what's Darth Vader doing here? I wanted Qui-Gon. Like, I don't know. It was funny. It was like, Peter. but yeah, no, it was really, really neat, and the photorealistic animation was again just incredible. James Earl Jones is getting, I don't know, a little... I mean, he's obviously a legend, but he's getting a little old. I think it's affecting his voice a little bit.
You could hear the age in his voice. I definitely appreciate, like, just for the culture, like Angela was saying, like, to keep it that original, like, that was amazing. Like, and that's part of the reason, just to kind of jump back, I didn't run to go see Aladdin. Don't get me wrong, I love Will Smith, but not having Robin Williams as Genie, like, I I wasn't pressed. Like when it comes on TV or might I buy it on, on demand or something. Yeah, but to run to the theater, I was just like, like Genie was my
it's
guy.
harder
So
for you
to
to go
have
see that
James
one.
Earl Jones come back as Mufasa.
No, yeah, for sure. That was so. Then they deviated obviously on a lot of other things. So let's talk about Scar next. Like what was your take on that character? Obviously, Jeremy Irons wasn't there, and so what do you think?
I would have liked for them to have him as well. Like that would have. Is he dead? Like I don't know.
I don't think so.
Okay, well that would have been awesome because that's part of the reason why I like him as a character. When he played in Aragon, like I just love his voice. He just had that raspy villain sound to him. So it just I don't know. I didn't. Well, I guess of course I'm an adult, but I didn't fear Scar the way that I did when I was younger. I was just like, oh, it's a Scar.
Oh, that's interesting. I had a different experience entirely because I was just like, in the other one you had this like little British villain lion with green eyes and just like, and I was just kind of like, this Scar was
like
like
a comical Snape.
Yeah, he was like a messed up looking lion now, and he's all mangled and I don't know. I found it a lot more intimidating, truthfully, but that's interesting. How
I agree with that. I thought that this version of Scar, I think that's where the live action animation comes into play and like making things scarier because like if I saw like a cartoon lion in like the wilderness, I would not be afraid. But if I saw like the way like I just remember like seeing like the way the animation did like their movements on like their walking and like all the muscles and just like it looked so good. But yeah, the he looked all like raggedy and sort of like menacing on like I don't know, he
like an unkept lion.
Yes, yeah.
But I didn't still like when he spoke. I was just like, oh, whatever. Scar's just big mad. Like,
that's interesting.
He did seem kind of menacing though to me. Sort of like that, like I don't know, like Mufasa was so like he was just magnificent and royal, and Scar was just like this mangled, creepy old dude, and just like out for revenge and all that. So
very conniving. And I guess that brings us to the hyenas too. I liked their dynamic a lot. I really liked all the different. We don't have a picture of the main hyena, and the name of the character is escaping me. But
Shenzi was the female.
Yeah.
Okay,
one of them's Ed, but I don't remember.
Demi.
I don't remember the
Michael Key is just a treasure. He's a delight.
I like the dynamic with the hyenas. I like what they did with the hyena. I wasn't mad at that.
No, it was really cool. The whole personal space
that
little angle was really funny.
That was hilarious.
Well, I think it's a little bit worth it to point out that in this PC world, we can't have characters like in the original Lion King because one of the hyenas was like
special.
Special,
yeah.
Like
he had all 6 cans. He's missing the holder.
Like
right?
we couldn't. They obviously couldn't put that in this version of the Lion King because that's definitely not okay.
Yeah, because everyone now so triggered.
Yeah, exactly. Like I mean, it's just not. It's not going to happen in 2019. It can't.
Right.
Like in. Well, I don't know what year the original Lion King came out. 80s, 90s.
Yeah, but
like
either way, I mean, let's just really let's just be honest. Let's talk about that because now someone's going to be offended.
Yeah.
Like that there wasn't a representation.
Oh my gosh,
in
no.
the movie.
Well, like I think they were going for that like manic laughter, and that's what that like original character Ed brought.
Yeah.
And then it, like the hyena laughter, and they were trying to like make it funny or whatever. But I just don't think that there's no way we can pull this off. So let's just change the dynamic of the hyenas, make it another joke, like another thing with like the personal
It was a very good
space.
distraction.
I'm personally very glad that the line "Shut up, Ed." I don't have to hear that from everybody again.
really
we're just
wished-
quoting the movie, man.
I really wish they included that.
That was
Shut
funny.
up, Ed.
That's funny.
But that needs to be a button on our
It
soundboard.
really does. Oh my gosh.
Whenever I'm spinning off into the wild land, just like "Shut up, Ed."
I would definitely not give Angela control of that button.
Too bad you made me producer.
That's funny. But yeah, so that was a neat dynamic. I really like it when they take chances and change things. I enjoy that. So that's what I really liked about Aladdin, right? Because you obviously had this huge gorilla in the room, so to speak, of Robin Williams has passed. He can't be here. So they didn't try to emulate him. They did a whole different thing. And I think that was really cool. And there were a lot of changes in there that they made that some people didn't like, but I think generally speaking, a lot of people really connected with it, and myself included. And
yes, again, no shade on that. Like Will Smith, I love you. Like he knows that.
and you should definitely check it out because I'm sure
Will Smith be watching our videos like, oh, thanks, Abby.
Word, I
Say
got
no
you,
more,
fam.
fam. I got you.
Oh, that's funny. But yeah, so I would definitely recommend you check it out, and then comparing it with this one, because this obviously was a lot more safe. I think they were a lot more scared of the fan backlash and things like that. I enjoyed the movie, like I said, but I still kept wishing that there was more done. Like in Aladdin, it was similar. I knew what was generally going to happen, but there were different angles
There were
and
still a
different
few
things.
surprises.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like and don't get me wrong, like I get it. I really, really do. And like Angela was saying earlier, you know, just the storylines of the originals, but with the Lion King, don't get me wrong, Sleeping Beauty, those are all great. Beauty and the Beast, there's a story in everything, but the storyline in Lion King, it's so deep.
Right.
So to stay to that original, like I think that was the best, because it's such an important lesson that children nowadays need to understand and to learn. So to keep it as original as possible, I think the message in the original Lion King wasn't received the way that it's being received by, you know, children now.
That's fair. Yeah, that's completely fair. And I think I see what you're saying. Don't take what I'm saying as I wanted, like, you know, Scar to be a good guy, or, you know,
just
like,
wanted a little something
I
extra.
wanted something different, right?
I
Like
get
get
it,
there,
yeah.
but via a different way. So like, again, in Aladdin, just to keep, because they're just such a good A and B comparison. It's been like 2 months. So in Aladdin, like they tweaked Jafar's character and made him a lot more of a mirror image of Aladdin, but like followed through to a dark conclusion. And then they
Gotcha.
like made Jasmine just so much more of a empowered person, and they did it in such a smart way that made a lot of sense, right? So making these changes to still show that story. I mean, you're right that The Lion King is a really basically a perfect story, and so you wouldn't really want to change it to necessarily deviate from that, but you could refine it or maybe alter a couple things. And
So one example of that they did that I liked was when Scar has taken over and he's talking to Simba's mom. What's her name?
Sarabi.
Yes, Sarabi. And
that's why Abby's here. She's our Lion King consultant.
Sorry.
yes, love it. Thank you, Abby.
Love me some
So
Disney.
he's talking to Sarabi and he's like, be my queen. Like, once upon a time, like, you picked my brother over me, but like, that's over now. Like, you need to get with the program. Like, it's not that, it's, you know, you're making this harder than it has to be. And that was a part that was not in the original Lion King, and I did like that aspect of it because it gave the characters more backstory and all that.
It did.
So that's, I think, what you're saying,
Yes.
Ed, is that what you were sort of looking for is like more backstory, just nothing new, like nothing like that deviates from the original storyline, but something that could like put more heart into it, more depth.
Exactly.
So I think that was what I appreciated about it. And there was a couple moments like that too that I was like, nice, okay, I see what you did there.
So we've kind of gotten really deep into the plot and everything, but I think if you go into this movie and you don't walk away enjoying Timon and Pumbaa,
Oh my gosh.
you're
Legends.
Crazy.
Legends.
There's one thing, okay, while we're talking about like versus the original, okay, like I was super upset that they didn't sing. And don't get me wrong, it was cute. They added the little part from Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, that was awesome.
But I really
great.
like
wanted
the little Hawaiian.
Yeah, I wanted the
tune.
Hawaiian luau. Are you aching? Yep. For some bacon. Yep. Like I wanted that so
See,
bad.
but like that's
I
where
do appreciate what they added.
That's what I'm saying.
But-
It's like it's a catch-22 because like I don't know, and we have this sort of thing with Star Wars too, where it's a question of, do you want new things or do you just want to see what you've seen already in a new way, right? So I really liked it. Like I said, I liked the original, but like I thought it was funny, and it was a genuine laugh because it
funny.
wasn't like haha, nice. It was like, oh my god, that's funny. They did a new
was
thing that made me laugh.
It was.
Yeah.
I will say that it was hilarious. But I wanted
You wanted your
Seth
little
I wanted the
Rogen.
grass skirt.
Seth Rogen was built to
He
play a
was.
warthog.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I
He
mean,
played the shit out of that role.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
like, I mean, it's just so funny. Like, just he's like prancing around, laughing. It was like perfect.
I did in another like little small petty thing. I thought it was fantastic how they let him finish the farted line.
Yes.
It's like, you're not gonna stop me. He's like, no. That was
Oh my
hilarious.
god,
That
how they
was
were
funny.
doing the fourth wall breaks were so funny, right? Like he was like, it's Hakuna Matata. He's like, what's that? He's like, oh, usually people like clap and
yeah.
say when we say that. It was so funny because like everyone was clapping in the theater. They were like, I know that word. It was so funny, man. I loved Billy Eichner. They just did such a great job.
He made
They
a
did.
perfect Timon.
Oh
That was
man,
awesome.
yeah, that was excellent casting, dude. I mean, Jon Favreau is just so great. Like he's this is I don't blame him for the fact that this is exactly the same as the original. I have a strong suspicion that that's like, Bob Iger and all those guys just being like, nah, they're gonna freak out, man. You gotta make this thing.
gotta not.
I want to make money.
That's what we're not gonna do.
It's
Not today.
like Spider-Man. We need money. We need money.
And I did like the backstory that they put in there with Nala and Shinzi when they were fighting. That was cute. I was like, oh, okay, all right.
So yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like the little nuggets of tweaks and changes were so cool, and I just kept thinking that I just wish there was a little bit more. Like, beating a dead horse at this point. But and I guess another little nitpick is it's kind of, again, a bit of a catch-22 because they wanted the lions and everything to look so realistic that it was really hard for them to emote as much as the animations or cartoons could.
Yeah.
So that was something that was a little, I don't know.
And I just want to
tough.
say something that I know a lot of people aren't gonna like.
Oh,
You do you, boo-boo.
get ready.
Beyonce should have not been Nala.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I love Beyonce. Don't get me wrong. Am I part of like the Beehive, like one of the fans that would jump me in the street for saying this? No, but I love me some Queen Bee. But I think
she sounded a little
she's not.
She wasn't
older,
the right
right?
fit.
I don't think she sounded older, but she when she played Etta James in Cadillac Records. Watching that, I don't think anyone else, in my opinion, could have played Etta James but Beyonce.
Okay.
But in a voiceover, I could hear where she was over enunciating her words. Like, listen to me talk, for an example, and you work with me, so you understand, you put on the voice
Right.
and you
sure.
enunciate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when she's playing in a movie where I know I'm looking at her, it's Beyonce, I can't tell as much. But listening to her, I could hear using the G's and the T's at the end of her words,
Right.
and it just didn't sound. It sounded
She's
overacted to me.
Yeah, you're saying she's not really a good voice actor as much as like
I
a
don't
former
know.
singer.
I don't know.
whatever.
I don't think. Yeah, I don't think she's a good voice actor.
It didn't. I don't know that I'm willing to go that far to say, in general, I dislike her, but I definitely, it was one of the weaker performances for me. Obviously, she was there so that way she could sing, Can You Feel the Love
Oh,
Tonight?
absolutely.
Like, that was
Oh, yeah.
awesome. Donald Glover
Absolutely.
and them
I was
together
kind
was
of-
really cool.
At that moment, I didn't know because I hadn't heard the entire soundtrack prior, but I really hoped that it was going to be Elton John singing it again. And I was like, do it, do it, do it. And they didn't do it. And I was like, dang it.
No, I thought it was fan. They sung that shit. Like they did it.
No,
I
yeah.
do like Elton a little bit more than Beyonce. As just a general fan, I'm like more of an Elton fan. I'm like, he is king. But I don't know. Like,
Well, she's queen, so,
True.
it's all
Yeah.
good.
yeah. But I've
Different
heard
competition.
a lot of movies of hearing that song in the original movie for so many years and just rewatching it over and over. It just it has that magic spark to it in that scene for me personally. And it was nice to hear a different version of it. I'm not mad. I was just kind of hoping that it was going to be Elton, but I'm glad we did get to hear his voice in the credits though.
But I can definitely see this being that same magic. Like it was different, and I gotta applaud that because it was different. It was quality, and I genuinely believe that this generation, who's gonna listen to a lot of Gambino and all this, they're gonna be like, wow, this is. This is a pivotal moment for us. Like this is our
grow up and
these are our
remember-
people, right? Yeah.
They're gonna grow up and remember when I was the kid he did the song in The Lion King.
Yes, exactly.
And speaking going to songs but her talked about it the other day. That song Spirit, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
That's everything.
Yeah.
So if I had to listen to her over enunciate her T's and D's and R's to get her to sing that Spirit song, dude.
Word.
Yeah. No,
Enunciate your H's, ma'am. Like, 'cause that song was everything. Everything.
the casting was really, really good. I enjoyed it a lot. I have to say, my biggest pet peeve with Disney, and I've said this so many times, there's nothing I hate more than watching a movie and you're feeling it and you're vibing with it, you're engrossed in this story, and then the movie ends and you're kind of stuck with this feeling of wow, I just really went on this adventure. And then this cringy ass right in the moment pop star song comes on and it immediately dates the film so much. So like you're watching these 90s classics and then it's like
The Hunchback of Notre Dame, for example, we watched recently.
Yeah. And it's just like I was in France a second ago and now I'm at
Now I'm in the
Goodwill
90s.
listening to old music. I don't know. And like
Backstreet Boys.
so like Frozen, right? I got taken on a trip with Frozen. I loved it. And then you hear Demi Lovato and it's just like, so I've got to say that this one reversed the trend. It kept the same really like tribal beats and it had Elton John singing like this, very in universe, I guess, sort of sound. Like it very much fit the vibe. It wasn't like, hey, let's make a pop song so we can sell records to kids. Like it fit the film and it was so great to hear.
Was, yeah.
Because, like, being such a rabid Star Wars fan, like, you can legitimately sit there for all 12 minutes the credits are rolling or whatever. There's no post-credit scene. You're just listening to John Williams and you're loving it because it's like an afterglow of what you just watched. Because it's
time to absorb.
I loved the music
Absolutely.
in this one. I thought all the tribal music and everything was
That was
amazing
fantastic.
throughout. Like I recognized how good it sounded, all the re-recordings of the original
Hans Zimmer,
scores.
dude.
But it was fantastic. All the like sounds and even the characters, like their voices. I think the only ones, because I know they tried to have a lot of like black actors do the voice acting. I think the only two that weren't black were Timon and Pumbaa, right?
Well, and John Oliver.
Oh, and John Oliver,
who
yeah.
was great. I loved him, too.
Which I thought that was awesome, because like we in the previous one there was only a couple.
It was James Earl
It was
Jones,
James
I
Earl
think.
Jones,
Yeah.
that was it. Yeah, and like we had like in Jonathan Taylor Thomas and like
Yeah.
all these like
Yeah.
like white actors, and so I thought that was kind of like a nice touch that they tried to incorporate so many like awesome actors into it, but they try to keep it traditional and like with the traditional tribal music, and I thought that was like so cool because it really brought it to life.
Yes. I couldn't agree
You
more.
felt like you were in Africa. Like
Exactly.
It was great.
Right. Yeah. I love when they let people, they cast people that it fits for the character and it just makes sense. And everything definitely gelled there. I really enjoyed that a lot. Yeah, I think at this point, let's go around. Anybody's got anything else they want to say, and we'll wrap it up. But overall, for me, I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. If you love The Lion King, go see it. But if you want something new, get it on Blu-ray. That's what I would say. But what do you think? Anybody else have anything else they want to add?
No, I loved it overall. Like I said, I'm a huge Disney fan, so seeing a live action like Lion King, it was dope. I don't want to say I liked it better, but I felt this. I did. I liked this one better.
Yeah.
I did.
I just wanted to kind of like mention a couple things that I really liked. I really thought the baby Simba was the cutest. And I know we have a picture of that, but
Yes.
just
Oh my
like
God.
he was so cute. I think just the animation, I'm still like geeking, was so good. Like all the different characters and all that, and it all looked amazing.
It's so great.
And I
mean,
just want to,
we didn't even talk about Rafiki.
This is a
at all.
great. Oh my God, Rafiki.
Rafika's my boy.
Yes.
Love me some
Man.
Rafiki.
Yeah,
this
it was
is a great, introduction. I just want to say, Leo season's coming, so Lion King,
You and your girl.
throw it out
Heck
there.
It's
Okay.
the hair.
Did they do that on purpose?
Maybe
Man,
they know what's up.
Disney marketing, man. They're so far ahead of the rest of us.
They're smarter than us. Oh, also one more thing. I know you can't see it in the video, but I am wearing my Lion King pin, so I'm just gonna
Oh, that's
raise
cute.
it up.
I didn't even notice that.
I got it at Disney.
Heck
Last
yeah,
time we
dude.
went, I wore it specifically for the podcast, and you can't even see it. 'cause
You wore
way
it to the
camera
theater
is.
too, so
I
we
did wear it
came
to
we
the
came
theater.
correct. We got our animal print, and we were all Yep.
Oh yeah, me and you.
Except for me.
We were ready to rock. Well, you missed the memo.
You have
That's all.
you have the beautiful mane.
Yeah.
True that.
Yeah. She's
I am the
ready-made.
lion.
Yeah.
You are the lion queen.
Damn right.
So anyway, it was fun. I enjoyed it. Definitely recommend on an artistic level for sure. I mean, it was just freaking
Absolutely.
beautiful. So that's our review of it. Definitely come back next time to hear more for future reviews and things. And this has been Sides of Coins.
Hasavenia!